We're talking about all of these thought leaders, visionaries and stuff, and we're starting off with a fantastic headliner, Jonathan.
Yes, I've been speaking with our first speaker backstage. I'm very, very excited to introduce you to him. He is a creative force to be reckoned with over 20 years experience and a passion that's off the charts. He's worked with Apple and Google, Adobe, and so many more, and has led projects and teams that would make your head spin. When he's not igniting the soul of Groq, he's found in Austin, Texas, where he is sometimes skateboarding, sometimes successfully, as you'll see, and sometimes not so much. His talk is entitled Unleashing the Beast, How Optimized Compute is Revolutionizing AI. Please give a warm welcome to Mark Heaps, Chief Technology Evangelist and VP of Brand at Groq. Mark.
Everybody's talking about Groq.
Which drink would you like?
I'll take a Coke.
Just a sec while I finalize your order. All right, your card has been updated.
Goedemorgen. I hope I said that right. I'll teach you guys how to say good morning where I come from. Let's see if you can repeat it back to me. Howdy. Thank you. Appreciate that. I got to bring a little bit of Texas over to Amsterdam if I can. So I spend a lot of time thinking about this movement that's happening, the developers and the AI community and more. I think about who possibly gave Van Gogh his first brush, his first paint? Who gave Ronaldo his first ball or took him to his first match? And then I think about people like Steve Jobs, who we all know. But did we know that Steve, at 12 years old, looked in the local phone book and actually looked up the phone number of Bill Hewlett of Hewlett & Packard and called him and said, I'm trying to build this piece of equipment. Do you have some spare parts? And at the age of 14, Bill Hewlett actually gave him an internship to work in a factory building the equipment. If that hadn't happened, would we have Apple today? I don't know. But I think each of you probably have a story where someone unleashed your potential. Maybe it was a parent, maybe it was a friend, maybe it was a professor. But that's one of those things that we're keenly interested in. I myself, just on the way to this trip, made the decision to stop in England on the way here to see this gentleman by the name of Louis Orsich. And when I was a young boy living in England, despite my accent, he actually introduced me to code. He introduced me to the first modem that I'd ever seen in the 1980s. He's a control systems engineer for nuclear submarines. And he completely unleashed my curiosity and reduced this imagination gap for me to believe what was possible because he gave me access. And he said, you should just play with the technology. And I think that's what we're all doing right now. We're seeing in this movement for AI, we're playing, right? Now, this is not a new phrase. This is something that many labs, research groups, enterprise, commercial industries have said before, but we really believe in this. The speed of iteration equals the speed of innovation. And I don't think we've ever seen a time where we've seen so much iteration in technology. It's happening faster than ever. There are estimates that more software will be written in the next 12 months than were written in the last 20 years. And if there's anything that we're really proud of, it's speed. We're kind of known for it. Maybe you haven't heard of us before. We're really small. We're based out of Silicon Valley. We only have about 250 employees. We actually do have one employee here in Amsterdam, which is great. But we're a full stack innovation ecosystem, both hardware and software. It's designed, engineered, and fabbed in North America, and it's not just a bunch of drawings, it's actually real, and people use it today. And it's been kind of radical, where we have this new processor called an LPU. And as a language processing unit, we set out on a mission to completely change inference for AI. And we did it in a novel way, but we did it with technology that was readily available in the supply chain. We've actually been setting the standard in performance for AI inference using a 10-year-old 14-nanometer silicon and still setting benchmarks. So the LPU has been revolutionary, and what it has done has been like handing that ball to Ronaldo. We've seen developers flock to build on Groq. But let's do a little bit of a history lesson. Back in the 2010s, really everybody was focused on getting their models trained. They were trying to improve the quality of their models. And my boss, founder and CEO Jonathan Ross at Groq, had a vision. He said, surely, as a business opportunity, if there's thousands of models being trained, at some point, those will eventually get deployed into production, right? And being that he is the creator of the TPU for Google, and he knows what that looks like when you have suddenly millions of requests and queries coming into a system, he identified a problem with incumbent technology, which is literally why Google invented the TPU. And he thought he could go further than that and make it better still. So when you've got these large systems deployed in production for millions to billions of requests per day from users, you have to think differently. Not at the singular level, but actually what are you doing with your infrastructure? And we hear this from all of the analysts. Gartner actually put this chart out recently that said in 2022, the majority of semiconductors deployed in data centers, 70% of them were actually used for training, and only about 30% of them were being used for inference. The analysts today are now saying that we're seeing a radical shift in the emerging inference market that we've been trying to define for the last 8 years, which is now we're going to see 70 to 80% of the semiconductors deployed in data centers actually used for inference, and the remainder used for training. And it's orders of magnitude larger an opportunity as a market. Now, we've all heard the stories. Microsoft is standing up a nuclear power station to support the demand for compute and AI, and CEOs even telling their own stories on social media how they have to take other CEOs to dinner to beg them to get chips and take my billions of dollars. It's a really exciting time. We have been trying to set that standard and really focused on this for the last year. So on independent benchmarks, as open source models became readily available, Groq stood these up on our systems and said, I wonder if we can get these running faster. In fact, as ChatGPT was becoming popular a little more than a year ago, and it was coming into the main conversation for everybody, most of the professionals in the world were saying, I think this runs around 25 to 45 tokens per second, but they never released the benchmarks themselves, so we were all just guessing. When we first got Llama up and running, we had it running at 100 tokens per second, and we realized we'd set a new standard. Since then, we've continued to climb in performance, continued to excite the developer community so that they're inspired to build the next generation of applications. And we've done this with the majority of foundational open source models from some of the greatest makers in the industry, whether you're talking about Meta, Mistral, Google, or even OpenAI, which that one on the bottom right there is actually a speech-to-text model called Whisper. This inspiration, we weren't sure. We're a small startup. So at the beginning of the year, I remember sitting with Jonathan, our CEO, and saying, gosh, I wonder when we'll get 1,000 users. I wonder what the first app will look like when it's powered by Groq. These screenshots are from only our Discord community, and in just the last 7 months, we've had more than 500,000 users sign up to build on Groq, and we see thousands of apps coming out every month that's powered by us. They've been inspired by the speed. Now, I haven't introduced myself, although they did a great job introducing me. My name is Mark Heaps. I'm the Chief Tech Evangelist and VP of Brand at Groq, which is a really unique role. It's similar to the brand idea that we used to have at Apple when I worked there. Brand is core to everything, which means we talk to the developers, we do the messaging, we do the website, we think about the experience of every touch point of Groq, and we're really passionate about that. What I think is really key is understanding for us to be successful and to continue inspiring the developer community, we have to have and provide an AI diverse ecosystem. LLMs were the start. It excited people. They wondered what they could do with prompt engineering, reasoning, chain of thought, multi-agent, agentic workflow. Now we're moving into multimodal more commonly. They don't just want the language intelligence as the core, they also want to have audio. They also want to have vision. And it's going to continue expanding from there. And ultimately, this is all part of having an ubiquity of AI where when you just walk into a room, maybe you talk to something like Jarvis out of a Marvel movie, and it just knows who you are. So we need to provide this. Now today, I'm going to give a little bit of a caveat. I'm going to show some demos that were built by our developer community. If anyone's ever seen any of my talks before, I don't like showing vaporware. I actually like to show live demos. These could all go horribly wrong. They could fail. Some of these have audio, which is not designed to work in this level of a space with this much reverb. Fingers crossed that this will work. But should we try playing with some demos together? Okay, cool. So let's switch over now to the laptop here. Very nervous. Let's see, did we bring that up? I don't see it on the big screen yet. AV team? Okay, this one's not on me. All right, let's see. Nothing on the big screen yet. And if I hadn't just torn my Achilles tendon, I would at least dance for you. I can tell you that when your 12-year-old son says, "Dad, you used to be a skateboarder, let's go skateboarding." And I said, "Absolutely." And then you realize you're about 50 years old and you don't quite jump up as fast as you used to. And that's what happened. There you go. Thank you, sir. Round of applause for our tech, please. Thank you. Appreciate you. Wait, I was premature. We were so close. This is all a tease. You're just getting excited. Fingers crossed. Oh. I can tell you it's amazing. Almost as amazing as my stroopwafel this morning. Sorry? Do you want to do?
Microphone on? Yeah. I have no technical skills. I'm not here to help. I'm just here to fill. So,
Oh, okay, perfect.
So while we're getting this technology ready, I want to talk to you about a clip that I saw
Sure.
on your Twitter feed yesterday. So this is, if you can imagine it, it's an NBA game that's happening live. And in the panel beside it, we're seeing live commentary. Can you talk me through what exactly that demo was and how it worked, and then we'll get to this?
Yeah, so this video is actually up on social media now as a local developer, and what he did is he used an LLM and a speech model to bring the stream in. It's live transcribing that video, and then basically from there, you have the ability through prompts to create characters, so it speaks like a commentator based on the video. So I highly recommend everybody go watch that. It's
Yeah,
really
go check
cool.
it out. We might talk a bit about it later, but I'll
Okay,
leave
let's see
you
if we
to
can
it.
dive into this. Okay, so the first thing I want to show, so this is just on Groq.com. We call this Groq Chat. But this was another breakthrough for us that was really, really exciting. Recently, Meta launched their new model series, which was called 3.2 for Llama. And they have these really small models that are actually getting quite intelligent and useful for chat. So if I just go in here real quick. Now, I'm going to try audio, so really quiet room. Okay, let's see. Except for those people getting coffee. All right, say. Tell me a history about Amsterdam, please. And so that's done, and what you just saw was a model performing at over 3,400 tokens per second as an LLM. And I get asked all the time, why do you need a model to go that fast? I can't read that fast. But the point is applications are going to continue to get more complex. I'm sure by a show of hands, how many of you in the room are actually developers? All right, a pretty good percentage. You guys know that you dream to build higher quality apps, greater layers of complexity, more reasoning, chain of thought, etc. Each of those layers introduces more latency. So by having this level of speed, you can have the confidence that you can insert all those extra parts of the application, retain quality for the end user experience. Now let's take a look at another one. This was another developer by the name of Dan Hernandez, and he's using a couple of models that are powered by Groq, but I thought this was really fun. He calls it stream of thought to text. So let's just use this real quick. I'm going on a trip to Amsterdam with my family. Could you build me a 2-day itinerary from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., please? So you saw how fast that was. But what's cool about his demo is he figured out how to make it iterative. Now I'm just going to hit the space bar to bring the mic up. Can you please add an expected budget for each day's itinerary? Can you consider for each of the activities that I have a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old teenagers? Uh-oh. Doesn't like teenagers, apparently. This is really fun. I will post the link to this after this talk on our social media. Oh, there it goes. And then you guys can all play with it as well. Let's do one last one. Let's say, please replace all meal activities like restaurants with actual suggestions of places to eat in Amsterdam. Okay, now, I'm going to copy this real quick, and I'm going to go to another demo. Now, I'm going to paste that text in here as our prompt. Let's make sure the site is unmuted. Okay, it's not muted. Let's see. Hi, do you have my itinerary?
The itinerary provided is for a 2-day trip to Amsterdam. It outlines several activities and attractions, including museums, parks, restaurants, and canal tours. The budget for each day is also provided, ranging from $90 to $170 per person for day 1, and $40 to $100 per person for day 2.
Yeah, could you tell me where I'm supposed to be at 9 a.m. on day 2? Pretty please. Can you tell me where I'm supposed to be at 9 a.m. on day 2?
According to the itinerary, you're
Oh. And we lost our feed. Now, hopefully they can get us back up and running real quick because I have one more demo that I'd like to show you. But think about that. That was just simply having an output from a stream of thought iteration demo that I'm now taking to another demo as a sys prompt. It would actually be quite easy to port and pipe that
What's
over.
the next question or topic
Now
you'd
she
like
still
to
wants to
discuss?
talk. Let's mute my mic here so she doesn't keep talking randomly. Now, what's amazing about a lot of these is that these demos are built in hours, not days, not weeks, not months. And so it's been very exciting to see how quickly we can build these applications. I'm sure after this, I'm going to have to buy beer for the entire AV Tech crew. if we could, while they're fixing that, can we switch back over to the presentation? Yeah, okay, great. So I want to tell the story while they're working on the other part. So this is real. This is from my Slack on Sunday. This is a message thread with one of our interns, a 19-year-old gentleman named Ben, who just started at Stanford. And we just got multimodal up running from Meta as a part of their new Llama Vision models. And I said at 5:11 p.m., I really wish Vision had a batch capability where I could put in like 5 images and then have a conversation about those images. And then Ben said 1 minute later, oh, I can build that. And I said, really? You can do that? And he said, yeah, it's just looped API calls. That would be simple, actually. And of course, I said, don't tease me. I'm 48 hours away from presenting. And he said, this is the one thing that is actually so simple, I can do it right now. At 5:23, to make sure he really understood what I was asking for, I sent him some really quick wireframes of what I was hoping to have. And at 5:41, he said, I'm bringing it online for you to play with. So in exactly 30 minutes, we went from a whimsical idea to having a working demo that hopefully I can show you now. So, Mr. AV Tech gods, if you guys could please switch over, and hopefully this shows up. Okay, fingers crossed. So, using Llama 3.2 11b with vision capabilities, Ben built this. Now, I actually have in here some sys prompts that talks about being a cinematography expert. So I'm going to browse some files here. There's a whole bunch of images, and all of these images have had their metadata stripped from them, and they're just numbered. So let's load those in, hopefully. Okay, apparently I'm going to have to refresh. All right, let's see here. So let's put our prompt back in. We'll apply that. We'll grab these image files. There we go. The images are loaded. And now we can say run analysis. And again, this is all powered by Groq. So you can see the analysis starting to develop here. And as it's going through those images, that prompt is telling it to think like a director, think like a cinematographer, which means now I can have a conversation with it about those images. So I could say, what sort of director uses these types of color grading? And you can see it's actually identified who the director was. It's Wes Anderson. So what does a world like that look like? Right now, a big conversation in the AI community is synthetic data. Can we produce synthetic data to further train the models? But think about what this opens up. Now, obviously, you could use this for security cameras. You could use it for a lot of applications. But what about the decades to century plus information that is analog? All of the pieces of paper that were actually kept as tablature and ledger. I worked on the Google book scanning project where we scanned millions of pages a day. And all of that information is now viable data that could be interfaced and interacted with using a model that an intern built in 30 minutes. So I pose a question to you. What would unleash the potential of AI in your business, in your community, with your developers? I hope, and we can switch back to the presentation, please. I hope that today has given you some ideas, created some curiosity, and given you the potential to come build on Groq. So hopefully we're switching over back to our presentation. Maybe. There we go. All right, so with that, I have 2 QR codes available for you. Today, Groq gives away more than 5 billion tokens for free to the developer community just so that we can be a catalyst in this AI momentum, so that we can see more applications be built. And for us, selfishly, we're learning more from the developers building on our technology than we could have possibly learned by building a product organization that would have done this in a traditional way. So this is a great symbiotic relationship. So I would ask you, join Groq today, see what applications you could build, and if you're not a developer, you can even just go play with Groq Chat and try all of those open source models and compare that experience for yourself. Thank you for your patience with a live demo, and with that, I'm Mark Heaps. Thank you very much.
Mark, you've now joined the legions of great tech leaders who've had live demos completely go up. Really sorry about the technology problems that we have.
It's totally fine. It happens.
Amazing presentation, though, and seeing this sort of technology in action is incredible. This NBA clip that's on his Twitter feed, you see instant live and exact description of what's going on.
Yeah.
It names the player. And it says, you know, the Suns are dominating in this game. It's incredible. You have to see it to understand it. Do we have one question in the floor? Make it a really good question. Raise your hand. Have we got a question? I put pressure on you now. Oh, there you go. This gentleman here, can we get a microphone to him, please? Yes. If you can just please introduce yourself, sir, before you ask the question, to give us a bit of context as who you are.
Yes, my name is Ryan Bertrand, or Bertrand. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana. I went to school at University of Southwestern Louisiana.
Nice.
Took R programming in January of 78, where the instructor stood up on day 1 and said, "Welcome to R programming. This class can be used on an AI system." We had no AI computers. We had software, and understood what AI was. We didn't have hardware until this century. My question is, being a science fiction kid and understanding what computers were and what AI was, why haven't we implemented things like Robert Heinlein, the software writer, described to manage AI computing, like computers will do no harm to humans? And there were 2 other laws to go with it. 3 laws of computing that could have prevented China and the US from pushing AI systems towards the nuclear age, and what's going to happen then?
That's a big question.
Yeah, so
Isaac Asimov's laws of computing,
right.
You know, is this a guideline for us in terms of understanding where we should be headed in terms of developing AI?
Yeah, and by the way, welcome from Louisiana. I grew up in that region before moving back to England. You know, I think the question inside of the question is, are we being intentional? You know, what are we doing to make sure that there are these safeguards? You hear a lot of this conversation about regulation, you know, protecting humans in their roles, making sure that this is being used ethically and responsibly. I think this is something that everyone is deeply passionate about. I know I am. I immediately had Groq join the Content Authentication Initiative, which was originally formed by Adobe, now has hundreds of thousands of members, thousands of corporations in there, committing to make sure that when you look at an image online, you'll be able to look at it and say, I know that was created by AI, modified by AI, and in some instances actually just tells you if it was modified by a human in Photoshop. So we have to start looking at these technologies like digital fingerprints that can help us understand when we should and should not trust something. Now, if I bring that back to where Groq has an influence, the sort of technology that's going to be used to have this reciprocal check system to make sure something is viable or not is going to insert tons of layers to your application complexity.
Yeah.
If you do that today with incumbent technology for inference distributed across a massive system, you're going to be waiting. And never in history have we wanted to go slower, ever. Yeah. So I think it's really key that for us, although we don't have a lot of the software that would have those check systems, we need to make sure that we provide the performance so that developers in the room can build those tools. But we're deeply aligned to that, which is why we also work with the open source community. So thank you for your question.
Mark, do you have to head off straight away, or can people find you? So apologies for the problems. If you have more questions, Mark is hanging around for a little while. So,
I will be around for the whole event.
So go find him. Mark Heaps from Groq. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.